My name is Karina Agostino, and for my science experiment, it was what solution pops popcorn the fastest? So my question statement, what effect does the solution popcorn kernels are cooked in have on the amount of time it takes the popcorn to start popping? Outcome statement. I thought that the olive oil would have the fastest popping time, followed by butter, and that the salt water would be last. Content statement. The experiment is about the transfer of heat energy through conduction and the substances that may or may not be effective conductors. Some prior knowledge that you would need for this experiment is understanding heat energy, and vocabulary words that are important are heat transfer, heat moves from one substance to another, conduction, the process in which heat or electricity is transferred directly from one substance to another. A conductor is a material which gives little resistance to the flow of thermal energy, and thermal energy, movement of molecules within an object or a substance. And how does this science concept apply? Well, the transfer of heat energy through conduction takes place when we heat a pot on the stove to make popcorn, and the substances that we use to pop the popcorn may act as a conductor. So based upon the conductivity of the substance will heat faster and the kernels will pop faster. Our variables, our manipulated variable is the solution that the popcorn will be cooked in. In this case, it was olive oil, butter, and salt water. The responding variable is the time that it takes for the popcorn to start popping. And our constants are the number of kernels, the type of popcorn, the setting on the burner, the pot, and the amount of solution. So my materials, here's a picture of everything that I used. As you can see, I brought the pot and I brought the kernels to show you guys today. But we also had olive oil, butter, salt, measuring spoons. I used 900 popcorn kernels, which was 30 per trial. And I used 3.75 cups of olive oil, which was 2 tablespoons per trial, and 3.75 cups of butter, which was 2 tablespoons per trial, and 3.75 cups of salt water, which was 2 tablespoons per trial. And I also used a stopwatch on my phone. So for my procedure, basically what I did for every single trial, I started by adding 2 tablespoons of the substance to my pot. I put my burner on exactly on number 7, which is a little bit above medium, and I put the pot on the stove. I had my kernels ready, my 30 kernels ready, and my stopwatch ready. So when the substance was in the pot, I put it on the stove and I just watched it. I just stared at it and waited until I saw any sign of boiling, like bubbling or anything like that. As soon as I saw that sign that the oil or whatever the substance was boiling, I quickly added my kernels and started my stopwatch. At that point, I put the lid on and I just left it alone. I stared at it with my stopwatch going, and the second I saw the kernels start to pop, I stopped the stopwatch. And that is the exact same procedure I did every single time. After they started popping, I took it off the burner, I let it cool down for a while, and then I washed it with soap and water, dried it, and then I started again. So that's the same procedure I did for each trial. Only difference is the different substances that I used. And here is a picture of me getting started on the first day, measuring my oil and getting ready to start my experiment. Here is a picture of the 30 kernels That's what 30 kernels looks like, and that is the same amount I use for every trial. And here's me waiting for some popping to start. Okay, so my data on the popping time. A really interesting thing that you'll notice here is that I have NA for all my saltwater trials. Every single time the saltwater trials, the water completely evaporated before any popping happened, and I waited up till 4 minutes, and that happened every single time. For the olive oil, the average was 1 minute and 1.2 seconds, and for the butter, it was 2 minutes and 0.7 seconds. So as you can see, overall, most of the butter were in the 2 minute range. The butter took much longer overall. And here's some pictures. Here is one of my saltwater trials. As you can see, there's no water in the pot. You can kind of see the evaporated salt here, and all the kernels are still completely intact without popping. And here is one of my butter trials. One thing that I will say about the butter, it popped, but you saw a lot of burning and some unwanted stuff like that. And then here is one of my oil trials. No burning or anything like that. Everything was smooth and popped nicely. And then here is my data for the popping, the medium mode and range, sorry. My range for olive oil was 48 seconds, and my range for butter was 52 seconds. And here is my graph. The yellow represents the butter, and that olive green color represents the olive oil. And as you can see, the olive oil had a much shorter popping time overall, a little bit less than half of the time of the butter. And my results based off the graph, the difference between the average popping start times of the substances is 59.5 seconds. The average popping time of the olive oil is less than half of the average popping time of the butter. And as we can see by that graph, olive oil would be the better choice for fast popping. So in conclusion, based on the observations, olive oil is definitely the best substance to pop our popcorn in. The popcorn popped faster and it was not burnt or anything like that. The butter did take much longer and there was a lot of burning going on. And then, like I said, the salt water evaporated and never popped any of the popcorn. So we can see that thermal energy was transferred through conduction from the stove to the pot to the substance and to the kernels. And the oil was the most effective conductor because it allowed for the thermal energy to transfer effectively and cause the kernels to get the hottest the fastest. Sorry about that. And then for the real world application, I think that this would be an awesome experiment for anyone who loves popcorn. A lot of people make it with those little microwave bags, which have a lot of added artificial flavors and chemicals. So it is definitely good to know how to pop popcorn at home and what is the best substance to use. And my narrative diary. And that is it. Thank you so much, guys.